All right, we're moving on to 3.5, which is two-step equations. Two-step equations, remember from our discussion, just means there's two operations in the problem. Doesn't mean two steps and you're done. Actually means you're going to need a lot more paper. So here we start with number 1, which is 6p plus 22 equals 10. Like we discussed, same process, left side, right side. You always, always, always want to undo the constant first. So you're first going to make that movement. If you don't know what the constant is, you can put your clues in the top. Remember, the constant is without the variable. This is a coefficient, variable, constant, constant. This indicates to me that there's a constant on the left side that I need to move over so it can be on the right side with the other constant. Remember, my goal, my ultimate goal, is to isolate that variable like we discussed. So the first way I'm going to do that is with the additive inverse. Additive inverse makes 0. So my step 1 is to add a negative 22 to both sides, like that. Draw my line. Now you can see different signs here, so I'm actually going to subtract 22 minus 10, like that, to get my 12. Okay, notice how I had to switch it. What you have more of goes on top. I know it's going to be negative 12 on the right side, and on the left side, I still have 6p. Notice, just dropping it down. Then I notice that, oh, there's my other operation. Remember, this is a two-step, means there's two operations. There's addition and there's multiplication. You undo multiplication with division. You divide both sides by the coefficient, which is 6. Not the opposite, because I'm not doing additive inverse. That makes 0. I want to make 0 here. Here I want to make 1. 6 divided by 6 is equal to 1. And p is equal to negative 12 divided by 6. Every two negatives make a positive, one negative. So I know that my solution is negative 2. So here I have my solution. Check step's a little more involved because the problem's a little bigger. I'm going to drop it down. And I have 6 times p plus 22. And I want that to equal the right side, which is 10. So I'm going to take that negative 2 right there, which is what p is, and substitute it where p was, which is being multiplied by 6. And then I'm going to do it. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, and negative 12 plus 22 is 10. So it checks out. My left side equals my right side. So it requires a little more effort, but again, not difficult to do. And once you get started and recognize them more, it's pretty easy. And you can move through each one of the problems pretty simply. It's not that challenging. Let's go on to problem number 5. So you have 1, 3, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 7 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Skip a line. I'm going to put it right here. So question number 5 I want to do because this is one with a division. I have v divided by negative 6 plus 1 equals 0. Separate the left from the right. Helps you keep organized. First, look for getting rid of the additive inverse. Additive inverse means the opposite to make 0. This cancels out to be 0. That's your additive inverse, which equals 0. Goal is to isolate the variable. Drop this down. V divided by negative 6 equals 0 plus, always addition, 0 plus negative 1 is negative 1. Now recognize that it's a division. The only way to undo division is multiplication. Notice where I put the multiplication sign. Notice where I put the negative 6 in the numerator position. In the numerator, in the top, so that I can extend this and look and go, oh, negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1. V is equal to 2 negatives make a positive, and I have 6. There's my solution. Start your check step. Drag down this problem, and you have V divided by negative 6 plus 1 equals 0. Take this 6, put it in place of V, right there, and you have 6 divided by negative 6, 1 negative, so it's negative 1, plus 1, and I want it to equal 0. Let's check. Is the left side equal to the same thing as the right side? It is. It checks. So there's an example of how to do your two-step equations. Good luck with that. When you get down further to questions 23 and 25 and 27, you'll notice you have to simplify some of those. So really pay attention to the fact that you have to combine like terms before you can go any further with them. I think I'll give you an example just to remind you. Let's pretend like I went all the way through and I'm on, say, 23. Here's an example for 23. 21 plus 9j minus 10 equals negative 277. Again, when I look at a problem like this, I look to get rid of look to get rid of the subtraction with plus negative right there. Now I can pay attention to, let me think, constant, variable j, constant, constant. My goal is to isolate the variable. That means I need to start putting this and this together. So I'm going to go ahead and stack this. Remember, whatever I have more of goes on top. So get rid of that. Starting to make the problem look a little simpler. That's what we're trying to do. When I subtract this right here, I'm going to get 11 plus 9j. See how that just drops down? Equals negative 277. Now I can see I have a constant here and a constant here. I'm going to take this and move it over there so that this starts to get to be by itself. This is our additive inverse movement. And you have 9j is equal to negative 288, like that. And then from this process on, you can clearly see now you only have a one-step equation. And when you have a one-step equation like this, all you have to do is undo your multiplication with division. Divide both sides by the coefficient, not the opposite. Opposite only happens in the additive inverse phase right here to make 0. I'm making 1 here. This cancels out to be 1. J is equal to negative and a positive, so negative 32. There's my solution. And my check step, you can check it in the first problem here. Probably most likely what would be smartest, because what if you simplified wrong? If you simplified wrong, then it isn't going to check right. So you should go back to the original when you check. 21 plus 9 times j plus negative 10. You want that side to equal 277. I'm going to plug in negative 32 right here. So then I'm going to start my process of doing 9 times negative 32. So I've got a huge problem here that I'm just going to put together. 21 plus negative 288 plus negative 10, and then put all of that together. And it doesn't matter how if you want to put the negatives together first. So you would have negative 298. So plus negative 298 plus 21 equals negative 277. It checks. A little bit longer problem, but you see why it's important to know the process. Because if you didn't know the process from the very, very beginning when we started this, you wouldn't be being successful on problems that are a little bit larger. Eventually, we're going to get to problems where there's equations on both sides. So you need to be very cautious and careful. Show your work neat, organized. Notice how it will always funnel down to this. Then it will funnel back out when we do our whole check process. Good luck.